Hello, dear students. Welcome back to our news channel. Students, in today's podcast, we are going to cover some important issues that are shaping our world today. And these topics might sound serious, but they are about real people and real change. And they need your curiosity, compassion, and energy to make the world a better place. So today we are diving into very two different but connected stories. One is about a brand new plan, global plan to tackle hunger and poverty. The other, it's about a heartbreaking situation in Myanmar where millions, including children, are struggling to survive displacement, violence, and natural disasters. Are you ready to learn about these stories and what they mean for all of us? Let's get started. Yes. So, the first thing first, we have a global alliance against hunger and poverty launched at Brazil G20. Let's talk about something that happened at the G20 summit in Brazil. Now, you might wonder, what is G20? Well, students, it's a group of 20 of the world's biggest economies. क्या है? एक ग्रुप है जो वर्ल्ड की बिगेस्ट इकोनॉमीज है उनका एक ग्रुप है so think of it as a global team meeting where leaders come together to solve problems. And this year something big happened. Brazil launched an initiative called the Global Alliance Against Hunger and Poverty. Global Alliance Against Hunger and Poverty, right? And here's the deal. Despite all the progress we have made in science, technology, and healthcare, millions of people in the world are still struggling to get enough food or earn enough money to live a decent life. In fact, there are projections that over 622 million people will still be living in extreme poverty by 2030. That's like if nearly the entire population of North America were living on less than 2.15 dollars a day. And hunger, see, the numbers are just as alarming. 582 million people might still go hungry by 2030. And seeing this situation, Brazil said enough is enough and decided to create this alliance to connect countries, organizations, and donors. See, the idea is very simple. Countries can learn from each other, share successful strategies, and get the support they needed, whether whether it's monetary support or any technical expertise, right? And here's my favorite part. The alliance focuses on six area they call sprints 2030. Sprints 2030. Okay. So what these sprints 2030 areas include? It includes जैसे स्कूल मील हो गया, कैश असिस्टेंस टू फैमिलीज, सपोर्ट फॉर स्मॉल फार्मर्स, programs to help people escape poverty, better water access, and care for young children moms. Isn't that inspiring? Right? And they're targeting the most vulnerable groups with concrete actions. राइट एक जो वलरेबल सेक्शन होता है जिसको सबसे ज्यादा जरूरत होती है उसी पर ज्यादा फोकस है. इट्स लाइक रनिंग अ रिले रेस वेयर ईच स्प्रिंट टेक्स अस क्लोजर टू द फिनिश लाइन. जैसे एक स्प्रिंट के बाद हम फिनिश लाइन के पास आते रहते हैं, तो वैसे ही स्प्रिंट्स 2030 बेसिकली स्मॉल एरियाज हैं जहां पर फोकस करना बहुत ज्यादा जरूरी है ताकि ग्लोबल लेवल पर हंगर एंड पॉवर्टी रिड्यूस की जा सके. Now here's a question for you. If you had 2-3 million to tackle hunger, what would you do? And this is the annual budget for the alliance. It may sound like a lot, but when you are helping millions of people, every dollar counts. Maybe you would spend it on school meals or on building wells for clean water, right? So think about it, like the money that is going to spend on uh, people who need it the most. And स्टूडेंट्स यहाँ पर एक और चीज मेंशन है, जैसे कि आपको क्या क्या याद रखना है। सबसे पहले कि ये अलायंस जो है, हालांकि ये अलायंस 2015 में भी एक तरीके का जैसे इंट्रोड्यूस किया गया था, बट देन द कोविड-19 पैंडेमिक हिट एंड इट सेट बैक प्रोग्रेस बाय ईयर्स। एंड आफ्टर दैट, पैंडेमिक के बाद पॉवर्टी काफी ज्यादा इंक्रीज हुआ, न्यूट्रिशन स्टैंडर्ड्स डिक्लाइन हुआ, स्पेशली इन द ग्लोबल साउथ कंट्रीज, राइट? एंड दिस we have covered many times, like what are basically what do we mean by global south countries. And as if that wasn't enough, climate change and ongoing conflicts have further worsened the situation, राइट? सो प्रेसिडेंट, ब्राजील के जो प्रेसिडेंट है, उन्होंने भी इस बारे में कहा, और उन्होंने कहा कि कैसे आर्म्ड कॉन्फ्लिक्ट जो है, फोर्स डिस्प्लेसमेंट्स हैं, क्लाइमेट डिजास्टर्स हैं, इट हैज deepen inequalities, and it has worsened the hunger and poverty situation at the global scale, right? तो ऐसा इस आर्टिकल में कहा गया है, राइट? अब इमेजिन करो एक ऐसा वर्ल्ड, imagine a world where every child has a meal at school, where farmers receive support to grow food, and where no one is forced to live on less than $2.15 a day. See, that's the vision behind the Global Alliance Against Hunger and Poverty. यह इसका objective है. All right? So that was all about Global Alliance Against Hunger and Poverty. Now let's switch our gears and we'll talk about something else, जो हमारे neighboring country में ही हो रहा है, right? And our second story is much more personal and heartbreaking. In Myanmar, which is a neighbor, right? Myanmar is our neighbor. तो neighbor में क्या हो रहा है, हमारे पड़ोसी देश में क्या हो रहा है, ये चीज भी हमने काफी बार कवर किया है कि वहां पे जो सिविल वॉर चल रहा है, उसके चलते कितनी ज्यादा सिचुएशन खराब हो चुकी है, राइट? सो मिलियंस ऑफ पीपल आर बीइंग डिस्प्लेस्ड, मीनिंग डिस्प्लेस का मीनिंग क्या होता है? मीनिंग दे आर फोर्स्ड टू लीव देयर होम्स बिकॉज ऑफ वायलेंस एंड you can say climate change. Even climate change is also the factor, is also the fact behind this displacement of people. And United Nations recently reported that around more than 3.4 million people in Myanmar are currently displaced, and 40% of them are children, right? 3.4 million जो लोग डिस्प्लेस हुए हैं बिकॉज of civil war and climate change driven extreme weather. So out of these 3.4 million, 40% are children only. सिर्फ 40% children ही है, right? Now let me take you back to 2021. That year what happened? Myanmar's military overthrew its elected government. जो elected government थी उसको overthrow कर दिया. And this was led by Aung San Suu Kyi. Okay, so Myanmar has been in turmoil since the military deposed Aung San Suu Kyi's elected government in the year 2021. Right? And this led to protests, armed conflicts, and a lot of suffering. But the fighting wasn't the only challenge. Myanmar was also hit by a typhoon, Typhoon Yagi. Typhoon Yagi. And this is a powerful storm that caused massive floods. It killed hundreds and it forced thousands to flee their homes. Children in particular are paying the highest price. Why? Imagine being a kid, having to leave your home, losing access to school, healthcare, and even safety. So, UNICEF, yes, UNICEF. UNICEF क्या है? It's an organization dedicated to help children worldwide. Okay, UNICEF. Now, in the comments below, you're gonna tell me what does UNICEF stands for. Like, what is the full form of UNICEF? Right? So, UNICEF said that 650 children have been killed or injured this year alone. 2024 में 650 children या तो उनकी डेथ हो चुकी है या फिर उनको इंजरी हुई है because of all this turmoil. And these aren't just accidents. ये सिर्फ accidents नहीं है. Air strikes, landmines, and attacks on homes and schools are stealing these children's chance at a normal life. But what does this mean? It means children are growing up without the stability they need to dream big and succeed. It also means we as a global community need to step up. Right? And organizations like UNICEF, although they are doing their best to help, but they need support. And as students, you have the power to spread awareness and show empathy. So think about it. Okay? इसके बारे में आपको अपने फ्रेंड्स में फ्रेंड्स के साथ स्कूल्स में टीचर्स के साथ यू कैन डिस्कस दिस राइट now that you have heard these two stories, you might be asking what I can do. You know, what can I do? See, that's the best question you could ask. First, let's focus on hunger and poverty. This global alliance, है ना, जो हमने पहला आर्टिकल कवर किया था, राइट, जो पहला आर्टिकल है ग्लोबल अलायंस, तो अब इसके बारे में, और जो सेकेंड आर्टिकल है हमारा चिल्ड्रन इन म्यांमार, सी अवेयरनेस इसकी. Talk about what you have learned today. Share it with your friends, your family, or even your teachers. You can even write letters to policymakers, or join campaigns by organization like UNICEF. Although कुछ ऐसा कई कई schools में होता भी है कि आप international organizations के साथ आप connect हो सकते हैं. Right? So whenever you get a chance, आपको ज़रूर इनिशिएटिव लेना चाहिए. Remember, students, you are never too young to make a difference, and change starts with understanding the world around us. Whether it's tackling hunger through new alliances or standing up for children caught in a conflict, every effort counts. Right? So, thank you for joining me on today on this episode. I hope uh, if you have and certainly, if you found this episode interesting, I hope that you're going to share it with your friend, right? So let's keep the conversation going. And until next time, take care and keep thinking about how you can be a force for good. Remember, students, please share this podcast with as many people as you can, right? Because awareness is the key.